Hey everybody, y'all saw in the last video there that we got the top end off of this 300 Arctic Cat, and all I've done so far is went ahead and ordered a cam chain and the stator cover gasket. I was hoping not to have to put a cam chain in it. I was hoping just to do the top end since it was smoking, but now is the time. So the tensioner was pushed all the way out, so it didn't have any more adjustment. It couldn't get any tighter. So that basically just means that pretty much no matter how you slice it, the cam chains wore pretty bad. So I noticed it had a little tick that didn't quite sound just like valves, and I had kind of checked the valves. They seemed okay, and so anyway, that's probably what I was hearing, even though it ran really good. But we'll go ahead and get a cam chain in it. I don't have it here yet, but I do want to go ahead and try to maybe get this thing, get the oil drained and get the side cover off, and I'll kind of be ready for it when it comes in. The last one of these side covers I pulled was on a quad runner. It was an older machine, early 90s. It was a bear to get loose from the main case. Just this side cover right here is what we're after. It's what they call the stator cover. Your sub-transmission gears and shafts are here. Up here is your crankshaft with the stator, magneto and all that. So, I mean, you've got pretty good access to everything there. It is going to be tight up here, so we'll have to see what we can come up with there. I'd rather not split this frame and have to pull it back, but we'll see how it goes. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we'll see what happens. Okay, here's the stator plug. It goes over to the other side. This is for your voltage regulator. This is for your pickup coil. Both in the same loom. I've drained the oil and got the pull start and everything off. So now we just get to take these case bolts. I got all those loose, but then there's this one. Right there at the tip of my finger. And you can see this engine mount is in the way. And I don't know why, but they didn't leave they could have made a hole here for this bolt to pass through. I guess I know why. I guess because they intended for you to unbolt the frame. But I'm gonna take a look and see what I can come up with. See if we really need to go that far with it or not. But I will get back with y'all when I kind of figure out what I'm gonna do here. Okay, y'all cut me some slack because I can't really show this and do it at the same time. But you can see I've got this bushing out, and there's a lot of play in here now. Same for the other side. That bushing is all the way out. It's laying right there. This one's out as far as it can come pretty much. So I'm not sure exactly which way I'm going to be trying to go with it yet. But you can see I've got some movement there. And actually, if I get it up kind of as high as it will go, I think it'll come right out. Okay, we got a ratchet strap hooked to the footboard. It runs over top of this rail, down around the engine bolt there. And then I've come right back up and hooked on this little bracket here on top of the frame. Let's see if the bolt will come out and get my socket in, which is a good thing. So it's snug, but we got our bolt out. So now I have to pull all these bolts, and then we'll have to pry the case loose. That was my biggest problem last time I had one off. Okay, it's the next day. I've got the fan on, it's a little bit warm, so it's gonna be a little louder, but I let it sit all night with all the bolts loose. And of course, I guess the case was opened up enough for some oil to come out, even though I've already drained the oil. Oh well, I wouldn't expect much different. But anyway, I'll get the camera set up and this thing's ready to pull off if it will. Probably gonna take a little prying, but we'll give it a shot and see what we can do. Got the case off with very little problem, really. The last one I did, you would thought it was JB welded on. I've never seen anything like it. It was on a 250 quad runner, I think I said. It was older. I don't know if something changed or if I just got unlucky or what, but it was stuck really bad. And the gasket material all stayed with the case. And I had to, get up around the machine and scrape it all off. Most of this gasket came off with the cover, which is going to make this way easier. I don't have much to scrape there, and the cover I can just scrape on the bench and then clean off. So very happy with how this came apart. You can see the clearance here. It's snug, but I don't think we'll have any trouble putting it back together. I did end up taking this nut off and just backing this bolt up a little so that I had room to get the case through there. And it kind of just contours and comes out around most everything, so really not too bad. I'm thinking we'll be able to put it back together without much trouble. So now I've got to get my flywheel puller and I'll pull this flywheel off. And we'll be right there at the cam chain then. It shouldn't be too much trouble from here, and it'll just be reassembling. So the way these pullers work is you've got this little piece. That's your crank protector. That way you're not pushing on that little small end of the crank there. So you'll thread this on, and you want to make sure there's some room between the flywheel and this thing. And then you've got this piece, and it just turns in and out, and that runs against the end of this. Let me back this up enough to... I forget this part is reverse thread, this bolt in here. So now we'll thread this up on the crank, or up on the flywheel. So it's on there, so then we'll spin this backwards, and now it's touching. And probably should pull this starter gear out before I get started. just because it's probably going to fall out anyway. There's your starter gear and spacer. So now I should be able to take my gun. It's the same 22mm socket, and just remember this is reverse thread, and I should be able to hold this right here and spin it until the flywheel pops off. Hopefully it's not stuck too bad. There it is. It came loose. I'm gonna go ahead and spin this back off because we got to get our crank protector off. And with that done, there's the flywheel. Pretty simple if you've got the right puller. You could make a puller, but it's not too bad a job with the right one. So, all right, set this over here. Don't forget you got a key there, so you don't want to lose it. I'll take it out. Well, I'll just leave it in there. Hopefully it doesn't fall out. This just free floats on the shaft with needle bearings. That's your actual starter gear. And it goes on with the snout facing towards the outside of the case. The one-way starter clutch grabs on this surface here. And with the cylinder head out, try to get the timing chain loose enough to So with the cylinder head and jug off, you have to take the jug off to get the timing chain guide out. When you take the cylinder or jug off, the guide comes out with it. The guide fits in this groove right here. It fits in this groove right here and runs up through the case there and keys into the top of the jug. So you have to pull the cylinder head to do this job correctly. So it's good timing at least to be able to do it with the top end off. So with everything out of the way, the chain just comes right out. So just notice this, putting this back together. I don't know if I can show it very well, but see if you can watch the outer bearing race. All I'm doing is pulling and pushing on the crankshaft. You can see it. And also, I'm pretty sure you can get it to spin some in the case. So I don't know if that bearing has somehow locked up a little bit at some point and spun in the case. And everything in there looks pretty clean. But I mean, this is not good. That's crazy. Well, now I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm not really wanting to split this whole engine. I've got that other four-wheeler that's pretty rough that has a good engine in it. It's a 250, but it wouldn't really matter. So, I don't know. We may end up doing an engine swap. That other engine doesn't smoke. The clutches have a little bit of trouble in it. I think they're wore, but well, this is just crazy to me. Did not expect this at all. All right, well, let me regroup and figure out what I'm gonna do. So here's option one. This is a 250 two-wheel drive, and the machine is really rough. It's solid as far as the frame and everything goes, but it needs quite a few bushings and needs all the wheel bearings. It just needs quite a bit of work to look like anything and be ready to ride. The engine, however, it starts right up and runs good. If I hook my jump box to it and fed it some fuel right now, it would fire right up and run. The carburetor is just a eBay deal, and it's not jetted exactly right yet. I never made it that far, but I have ridden this around. So here lies option two. I guess what I would have to do would be split the case, use this case half that I need, and split the case on the other engine in the four-wheeler and pull the crankshaft. Probably go ahead and just rebuild the crankshaft. Really, that's kind of my biggest hurdle. It's just labor other than that, and the bearings, the crank bearings, but I don't know, it's probably going to be a little bit costly to have the crank rebuilt. I just have to look into it and see how feasible it is for me to do it myself, or see what it costs to have it rebuilt. But this engine would serve for parts for the case, and we could get that engine back together with this case half and still make a running engine out of it that would be pretty fresh. Just a lot more labor intensive than swapping that other engine probably. But anyway, that's kind of where I'm at on it. So I'm gonna have to mull it over. I was hoping to get it done pretty quick, get it out of the way so I can kind of move along on some of the other projects that I have. But I'll think about it now and see what I think. I like to still keep moving on it, but it's not going to probably get done as fast as I would like. So thank y'all for watching. If you got any input, leave it in the comments, and in the meantime, I'll think about it and I'll update when I have an update.